this computer. Right, so recording. So, hi everybody. Today I'm joined by Rochelle Gilburn, a property investor, mum and entrepreneur. Today we're covering Rochelle's journey, where she started, how she grew a LinkedIn presence, and how she overcame some personal tragedies. So, Rochelle, thanks very much for joining me.
Thank you for inviting me on.
Brilliant. So, the first question I always start on this podcast is, what animal would you be and why?
Right, what animal would I be? That's a tough question to start off with.
It always catches people off guard, to be fair.
Yeah, that's not the question I was expecting to get asked, to be honest. So what animal would I be? Probably a lion. And my hair matches that as well. Yeah.
Brilliant. So how would your close friends describe you? Who is Rochelle? What are you about? Who are you?
Yeah. So a lot of people say to me how laid back I am. So I'm quite a chilled out person. I don't think I take life too seriously. I try to enjoy it. And I think this is probably why I chose lion. I'm quite a free spirit. Mm-hmm. and I know what I want, and then I sort of chase after it. I'm quite determined like that. I've got big goals, big ambitions.
Amazing. So what was life like growing up for you? Were you always entrepreneurial, or did you want to kind of go down the corporate route, as most people do, or what was life like then?
It depended what TV program I was watching at the time. So I wanted to be a policewoman because I used to be quite into the bill. And then at one point I was watching CSI, so I wanted to be a forensic scientist. And then I finally, Holby City was my last sort of TV program that I was really into, and I decided I wanted to be a doctor. So then I did all the A-levels and everything to be a doctor, and I was like, I can't do this. What I realised was I needed a balance between being creative and being academic. So it was like I absolutely love science and all those subjects, but I needed to be doing something like artistic as well. So then I ended up going complete opposite and going to college and doing art, and that's how I got into doing graphic design, and that was sort of my path into marketing really, before going into property.
So you're in marketing, and how long were you doing that for?
I worked for a company for 14 years. Started off as a waitress. It was a greyhound racing stadium. Started off as a waitress there, and I did art at uni. They found out I could do all the editing of the posters, and that I could do it for a lot cheaper than what the agencies were charging. So I just used to go in 1 day a week and do that. And then when I finished uni, they offered me a full-time job. So I was doing it for about 10 years, the marketing. So
a good while.
Yeah, that's it. And I did everything from the graphic design, built up the Facebook page, so that I started that from scratch. I think when I left, it had about 20,000 people. And yeah, I did all the back end of the website, Facebook ads, Google ads, all that sort of thing. So I was quite like jack of all trades.
No, that's amazing. That's amazing. So you're quite new into property. So what made you, what was the trigger point for you to make that transition from obviously a job you've been in for 10 years to, investing and sourcing?
So I'd obviously been there for quite a while, and I started to get sort of itchy feet, thinking if I don't leave now, I'm going to be here for the rest of my life. I want to do something that's new, that's a new challenge. And I was looking for part-time jobs. I've got two young children. I was looking for jobs that I could fit around them, and there just wasn't really anything. I eventually got one, but it was sort of a little bit of a step backwards. It was a much smaller marketing budget, and it was a nice job, but it wasn't stretching me. It was too easy, and I didn't enjoy it. I needed to be pushed out of my comfort zone a little bit. And I started talking to, so I'm good friends with Ellie and Mark Mackay, and I started talking to Ellie about I'd got some spare money. I thought about building a bit of a property portfolio, and then the more we talked about it, the more I was like, I think actually I could do what you're doing. I think I'd enjoy that. So then yeah, that was sort of the catalyst into setting up my own property business. But I never really expected it to be as much as it is. I thought it was just something I was going to maybe dabble in a little bit and do alongside another job, just to sort of keep me keep me going, sort of keep me busy.
Did you get educated in property? Did you do any courses? Is there anything you recommend for anyone that wants?
Yeah, so I did Paul McFadden's property protege up in Glasgow. So that was the same course as what Ellie and Mark had done. And yeah, I think it's a fabulous course. When I talk to other people who've done different property training, I think what they offer is sort of the whole package. Like you get enough knowledge to go out and you know how to find investors, you know how to find property. They're really big on mindset as well, which I love. So I think my mum's always confused. She's like, you went on a property course and you came back and you're like doing cold showers and you're meditating and like thought you were learning about property, but it completely changes your frame of mind.
So tell us about Lewis Hamilton, 800,000 views, LinkedIn. I know we're going to go into your LinkedIn in a sec, but yeah, just tell me about that and how that blew up.
Yeah, so with my LinkedIn, I'd never really posted on LinkedIn much before. I'd got about 250 connections. It was just people that I already knew. And then once I came off the property course, I was like, right, I've got to start posting regularly on LinkedIn because this is where I'm going to find my investors. But I hadn't got any experience in property before. So it's like, okay, how can I set up my profile to draw people in? So I set it up so it told them that I did property. And then when it came to posting, I was like, well, I can't post anything property related because I've not got that experience yet. So I'm just going to start while I set up my marketing and while I start carry on learning, I'm going to start posting about things that I'm doing. So I was just posting about like audiobooks I've listened to, things I'm doing with the kids, just anything that interested me really. Sometimes one place I got inspiration from was Lad Bible. So like if a post is doing really well on Facebook and lots of people are talking about it, then I'll just share my opinion on a topic on LinkedIn. But people started responding to me quite early on with that, and I was getting good views and a good amount of likes. So I just continued, and it was that consistency posting every day. And then the Lewis Hamilton one, it just won. It just won the championship last year, and I'm quite opinionated on it. I'm quite a big Formula One fan, and it really winds me up that so many people don't like Lewis Hamilton, and they say things like about how he's only winning because of his car. He's got the best car. Anyone can drive that car. So I sort of started it off a little bit angry, and I think it caught people's attention, and then everyone had an opinion on it. So it created a lot of debates and quite a lot of abuse as well in the comments.
Oh, really?
But yeah, it ended up reaching 800,000 people. I think it got about 2,000 comments, 1,000 likes.
Yeah.
But then off the back of that, I got so many people messaging me about investing, loads of connections, connection requests and everything. So from starting out January last year, I've now got nearly 15,000 connections on LinkedIn. Just from the consistency and generating the good content.
So for, let's say, anyone that's starting, in the property journey, maybe looking for JV finance or, wanting to sell deals to investors, what one piece of advice would you give to someone that, again, that's not really got much experience, want to document the journey, but they want to connect with investors, build that relationship, build that know, like, and trust, and obviously sell a deal? What advice would you give to someone in that position?
Yeah. I think it's that be honest. I think a lot of people will ask, oh, how long have you been doing it for? And you just have to be truthful. I found that difficult at first because it was that question that I always dreaded. I'm like, oh, if they ask me how long I've been doing property and I've only been doing it a few months, I'm going to sort of feel like I need to say something that's not true. But people are quite receptive to it. They know that people have to start somewhere, so it's just being honest is a big thing. Just be yourself, let them know where you are, what your plans are, and if they believe in you, they'll invest in you. But for one thing that I do is I get my investors on board first, and then I find the properties, because what I found is when I was doing it the other way around, I was chasing around trying to find someone to buy this property, and it was so time consuming. Whereas now I've got investors that have signed up, I know exactly what they're looking for. When a property comes through, I then can match that up to the investor, and that works really well for me.
Yeah, Brilliant. So I know you briefly mentioned in the brief that you lost your husband in 2018. So do you fancy like touching on that, or kind of how did you recover from that?
Yeah, so that was I guess that was probably one of my big catalysts for starting a business, because I'd sort of just settled into being a mum, being a wife, having a part-time job, and life was a bit I suppose it were a bit boring, or just it was nice enough. I had a nice enough life, and then he suddenly passed away, and that sort of it was traumatic, but I sort of threw myself into, like, there was all the financial stuff to plan, and there was a funeral to plan,
Yeah.
and then once all that was finished, it was like I was just sat there doing nothing, like twiddling, like, what do I do now, and overthinking things. So I went straight back to work. I think it was about 6 weeks after, because of that I can't sit around doing nothing. I need to do something, and then that's another reason why I started the property business, because I just realised that life's too short. Like, he sat around. He was a managing director for a company, so he was on a good wage, but he could have definitely ran his own company, could have done so much more, but he was always held back from fear of loss, and he likes that security of working for somebody else. And I wanted to sort of show people that you can face your fears, take risks, and be ambitious, and sort of set that example for my children. But yeah, knowing now that life's too short, I don't want to just sit around doing nothing and twiddling my thumbs. I want to create the best life for me and the children that I can.
It's amazing. So it's a good mission to have, isn't it? I suppose, massively.
Yeah, definitely. That was the other thing. He used to, he was an ice dancer, sort of when he was a teenager, and he ended up quitting and becoming an accountant, because of that fear of, oh, what if I fall over and break my leg, and then I've not got a career.
A little bit risk averse.
Yeah, that's it. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna take the risks that you never took. I'm gonna go out there and build this for our family, and sort of like in his memory.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So I know there were a couple of his sort of big regrets, and I don't want to be at that stage where I'm like, oh, I regret not setting up my own business. And
amazing. That's fantastic. So one piece of advice to younger people, this is called the Diary of a Young Entrepreneur podcast. So what anyone that wants to get into property, start a business, what one piece of advice would you give to them to be able to go ahead and do that?
I'd say tell people what you're doing, what your plans are, because you never know how people can help you. Like that's another reason that sort of got into property. Everything seemed to be pointing in that direction. I sat on a plane on the way back from a holiday to Vegas, and the guy next to me was an estate agent and property investor, and we ended up speaking for like 7 or 8 hours on the plane, all about property and like property ideas and everything. And so many people, once you say, oh, I'm starting out in property, they're like, oh, I've been thinking about getting in property, or oh, I've got a portfolio that you never knew that they had, because people don't necessarily openly talk about these things. And like now on my Facebooks, I regularly post that I'm going on viewings and I've completed on this property and I've got this renovation going. Like people, family and friends are contacting me saying, oh, my mum's got this property to sell, she's not lived in it for 9 months, it's really run down, she's moved in with a boyfriend, like, is there anything you can do, can you buy it or renovate it or anything? So people are bringing me things now without me having to do very much sort of work, I guess. It's just like putting that message out that I am the property person. If you have a property, bring it to me.
Yeah, no, fantastic. So where can we see you in 5-10 years? Cars, missions, goals, material things?
Taking over the world. So yeah, I've got big plans. What car do I want? I want Aston Martin,
Nice.
or a Lamborghini.
Yeah,
I'm a big car girl. But yeah, I've got big. I want to set up a big sourcing company. I don't want to just be me, a one-man band. I want it to be a proper company. Yeah, I'd like to do some house building and that sort of thing in the future, land developments. But then I also, on the other side, I quite like the public I like being in the public eye, so I'm really enjoying LinkedIn and building up my personal brand, and I'd quite like to do something more with that.
Amazing, yeah. So maybe be like a public speaker, or would you?
Yeah. In fact, I've booked onto a public speaking course for this year once lockdown's opened back up. So yeah, that's definitely something I want to do. Get out there more and get making more podcasts and that sort of thing.
Amazing. I'll have to catch up in 10 years. So
yeah, definitely.
No, brilliant. No, thanks very much for that. I know we've got to finish bang on 2. So yeah, thanks very much again, Rochelle, and speak to you soon.
Brilliant. Thank you.